Assassins surrounded the alien queen. Her human guards smiled and locked the throne room. Part 1. The silence before, the Velkhari throne room was built to survive earthquakes, orbital bombardment, and the slow crush of a dying star's gravity. It was not built to survive Marcus Reyes, leaning against the door with his arms crossed and a grin on his face. "You could stand up straight," said Queen Th'aleth Vor, third of her name, sovereign of the Nine Hives. "It would look more dignified." "Dignified doesn't stop knives," Marcus said. "Comfortable does." The queen's antennae flicked, the Velkhari equivalent of an eye roll. She was 7 feet of iridescent chitin and old royal blood, and she had outlived 4 assassination attempts before Marcus ever set foot on her homeworld. She did not need a bodyguard. She had told the human assembly this, in writing, twice. They sent one anyway. Now, watching him check the door seals for the 3rd time in an hour, she understood why. "They're not coming tonight," she said. "The convergence banquet isn't for 6 days. They're not waiting for the banquet," Marcus said. He didn't look up from the door panel. "They're waiting for you to relax." She said nothing. Outside, the twin moons of Velkhar Prime rose over the spires, painting the throne room's crystal dome in pale gold. It should have been peaceful. It wasn't. Part 2. The first crack, the lights died at 247 hive time. Not flickered. Not dimmed. Died. Every lumen in the throne room extinguished at once, the kind of precision failure that meant someone had already been inside the palace's power core for hours, patient waiting. Th'aleth was on her feet before the dark finished falling. "Old instincts. Old scars. 11, Marcus said calmly from somewhere near the door. "Maybe 12. Motion sensors caught heat signatures converging from 3 access points. They cut the grid to blind the cameras. Not us. How do you know it's not blind to you as well? Because I brought my own eyes." Something clicked over his face. She heard it more than saw it, a soft mechanical whisper, and a faint green light traced the outline of his visor in the dark. "You should be afraid," she said. "It wasn't an insult. It was an observation, offered the way one offers water to someone crossing a desert. 11's trained assassins. 1 human." Marcus smiled. She still couldn't get used to that expression. The way human faces did that, teeth and warmth together, aimed at danger like it owed him money. "Funny thing about my species, Your Majesty," he said. "We've never once, in our entire history, needed the numbers to be fair." He walked to the throne room's only entrance, 12 feet of reinforced alloy, older than the current dynasty, and rested his palm against the lock panel. "Marcus, what are you doing?" Something my old drill sergeant used to call removing the exits. The door sealed, with a sound like a held breath being released. 11 assassins, and now only one way in. Part 3. The Queen learns a new word. "You've locked us in with them," Th'aleth said. Her voice, usually a controlled thrum, cracked with something close to panic. "There is no other exit from this chamber. You have trapped your queen with 11 killers." "I've trapped 11 killers with your queen's guard," Marcus corrected. "There's a difference. Explain it to me." Quickly, preferably. He knelt quietly, retrieving something from the compartment built into his boot. A short baton that unfolded with a snap hiss into something considerably less short. "When I was a kid," he said, conversational, like they had all the time in the world and not 11 professional killers breaching a door behind them, there was this old human phrase. "Fortune favors the bold." You know what I think that actually means? I do not have time for. "It means the bold get to choose the battlefield," Marcus said. "Your assassins picked a locked room because they thought it'd trap you. They didn't count on it trapping them, with the one person on this planet who's actually looking forward to this." The door groaned. Something on the other side was cutting through the alloy, slow, methodical. The whine of a molecular blade working through metal designed to survive a siege. Th'aleth looked at him, this soft-skinned, single-hearted, absurdly fragile creature who stood between her and 11 trained killers with nothing but a stick and a smile. And for the first time in 3 centuries of rule, she did not know what to say. "They will cut through in 90 seconds, she finally managed. "Then I've got 89 seconds to enjoy the quiet," Marcus said. "Get behind the throne, Your Majesty, and don't come out until I say so." Part 4. What humans do with silence. The door failed at the 90-second mark, nearly to the tick. Th'aleth would reflect later that of all the terrifying things about humans, their predictability under pressure was somehow the worst. 11 shapes flowed into the dark throne room like ink poured into water. Silent, coordinated, blades drawn. The kind of synchronized violence that took years of hive discipline to perfect. They found one man standing in the exact center of the room, and nothing else. "Where?" the lead assassin started. He never finished the sentence. Marcus came off the throne room's ceiling support beam, where he'd been quietly hanging, patient as a spider, for the entire 90 seconds. And the fight that followed lasted 4 minutes that the palace's restored security footage would later be studied by 3 separate armies. It was not fair. Th'aleth, watching from behind the throne with her hearts hammering against her ribs, understood within the first 10 seconds that it was not supposed to be fair. Humans did not fight to win an even contest. They fought to end contests as quickly and violently as physics allowed, and Marcus fought like a man who had made peace a long time ago with exactly how much damage a body could survive and still function. 2 assassins went down before they registered he'd moved. A third's blade found nothing but air where his throat should have been. By the time the survivors realized the ambush had inverted, that they were the ones surrounded now in a locked room of their own making, with no exit and a queen's guard between them and the door, the fight was already lost. They simply hadn't been told yet. The last assassin dropped her weapon at the 2-minute mark and got down on her knees, hands laced behind her head in the universal language of "I would like to keep breathing." Marcus didn't even look winded. "Smart," he said. "Should have done that 90 seconds ago." Part 5. After. The lights came back on grid power 6 minutes later. Palace guards, the real garrison, 20 strong, arriving embarrassingly late, found their queen unharmed behind her throne, 10 assassins restrained or unconscious on the floor, and 1 human sitting cross-legged in the wreckage, checking his knuckles for damage with the mild concern of a man inspecting a minor scratch. "You could have died," Th'aleth said, once she trusted her voice again. "Could have," Marcus agreed. "Didn't, though. That is not an answer. It's the only one that matters." He stood, offering her a hand to help her up from behind the throne, a gesture she still wasn't sure how to interpret, 3 months into his posting, but had stopped questioning. "Your Majesty, permission to speak freely? When have you ever asked permission for that?" He grinned. "Fair point. Look, they picked this room because they thought a locked door was a trap. For most species, it would have been. You don't send 12 trained killers after prey unless you're certain the prey can't run, and you turn their certainty against them." "I didn't turn anything," Marcus said. "I just made sure that when they looked around that locked room, the only thing between them and you was something that had already decided it wasn't leaving. Doesn't matter how many knives you bring to a room if the one person guarding the door has already made peace with not needing an exit." Th'aleth looked at the 10 restrained assassins, trained killers, humbled in under 4 minutes, and then at the human standing amid the wreckage of her throne room, calmly reattaching his baton to his boot like he'd just finished a light workout. "The Assembly sent one of you," she said slowly, "to guard an entire throne." "Yeah." Marcus shrugged, and there was that smile again, easy, warm, and somehow more unsettling than anything the assassins had brought into the room. "We figured that'd be enough." Behind them, through the shattered dome, the twin moons kept rising, indifferent, over a throne room that would be rebuilt by morning. And a queen who, for the first time in 300 years, finally understood why humans never sent an army when they could send one.